I'm Margaret Ann Windsor, and I woke up with an invitation on my Facebook to a wedding. They just can't, after all they've done, they just can't keep digging. This is my dad, and at the end of the NBC telling about it, I just turned on Facebook, and if you think that the hell I've been through, and my family, my sons Mark and Scott, who are the legal heirs, not war criminals sitting over there in Buckingham Palace. My father, when NBC put up about Wallace Simpson, showed a picture of a fake. That's not even my father. My father was married, I'm going to say it again, to my mom, Claudia Ruth O'Keefe Windsor, who was queen. My father was removed illegally with character assassination. All of it a lie. How dare they put that woman up, and they make, oh God, please. If let me put it this way, if the truth's ever told, um, I guess it would take God to do it. Really? I don't know. I wonder if Elizabeth and this family sitting there supposed to represent the Church of England. By the way, it's my understanding the Church of England got in on the takedown of my father. So where does the Illuminati power end? How do they go to church on Sunday if they believe there's a God, and they say they do? How do they sit there dressed in the fineries and lies and a stolen monarchy from me, and they expect God to save the Queen? Well, wouldn't it be funny if he did? If he stepped in and he put a stop to this crap and put the war criminals in hell, and I'm sure I'll be deleted. This man, I can't handle it. And what you've done to my children, I haven't even told. It's not been told, most of it. It is so sick. And you're playing this game, and I know exactly what you're doing. I know, and the world should know, but a lot of people just don't care. It really doesn't matter. The monarchy wasn't up for grabs. I guess it was. You stole it. Um, it's supposed to represent the British people. You're supposed to work for the Brits. You're a bunch of thugs. You've stole us blind. It's not even yours. And now then, I'm still trying to defend this decent man, and you're still lying about him. I want to remind you I was kidnapped and JFK helped in my kidnapping. Roosevelt appointed, in case no one's heard, and I'm being redundant, Roosevelt, which his sons become a part of this too, they appeared at a Memorial Day. Roosevelt Jr., I guess is who, if he had the Jr. to his name, I think his name was John Roosevelt. He was Roosevelt FDR's son. He was at a memorial at Fort something, a base, and him and his wife actually met with Wallace Simpson and this phony, this imposter posing as my father. And they've all had a jolly good time. Your presidents have known it, about the kidnapping of me, about who my father married and never had anything to do with this American spy. This is me finishing high school. And the day I was born, because of the addendum, I'm Victoria II, and I am the legal heir. And because I don't have clothes, I can't fix my hair, I don't have a home. I haven't had since it was, I was kidnapped from Buckingham Palace, so there you go, 1941. So forgive me, please, since I have to ask forgiveness at being irate that there are people who condone this, and she is a thief. She's a war criminal, and anybody that went along with her is guilty of war crimes too. So you see where I think that I wish God would step in. Wouldn't it be funny? I mean, finally he steps in and he saves the Queen, and he puts the war criminals, because it'd take him. You don't think Al Haig, who tried to have Victor Gonzalez doctor that was at Parkland in Dallas when Kennedy was brought in. You don't think that God would condone Victor Gonzalez showing up in Atlanta and me being turned over to him, and then he takes me with Kissinger of the Watergate. Why do you think the Watergate tapes were deleted? The 18-minute gap. They were subpoenaed. It had me lying on the table in College Park, Georgia, having been drugged, and I couldn't move, but I knew everything that was going on. And you had doctors on this side. It was just the trolley tracks back then. Everybody in Atlanta would know where that is. There was a little, and it was still there in 1982, the winter. That very place was still there, and the trolley tracks were still there. And I was taken by Gonzalez, drugged. This is Victor Gonzalez. He has a son that's been in college and gotten the best education and who's a doctor there now. And there was a seal put on some of this, only I didn't know and the real truth in it all this other stuff about misdiagnosis and all the war games they played against me and my sons. That God, if it was told, Elizabeth better pray that there's not. But then look at her little brood, Harry, and look at her son, Charles, and who's committed everything in the book that they said my father did. My father did none of that. He was married to my mom, Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, Windsor, Queen. This great Sir Winston Churchill burned the files. And you know what I was doing here? I couldn't even, this stress must have set me back a little. I was working full-time at the City Grill. Slim Hambrick owned it. The only place in town. Sometimes the kids hung out there, teenagers. It was nice enough. It was the only place there. Nothing bad went on there that I know of other than, well, I won't say that right now either, so whoa. But there were nice people there. Bessie and her husband was, I think Lester Reed, was that his name? He was sheriff's deputy, and the sheriff was Franklin Smith. And I'll cry because he was a good man. He knew about my kidnapping. I look back now with things. He handed me his card one time. He came in school, and he didn't hand it to anybody else, and he said, look on the back. And he told me if I ever needed help to call him. I didn't know then what he meant. But I worked. I actually walked to school, which was about 2 miles. From school, I walked to the City Grill, which was another mile, at least and a half. And I did 8 hours. I waitressed, I cleaned the floors. Before going home, I locked up, counted the money, all that by myself. Worked 7 days a week from the middle of, or the last of October. I was in the 10th grade. And I worked until some Terrys who were retiring from the U.S. military came in. And they didn't fire me. They just made it so bad that I had to leave. So I worked until I almost graduated in 57. I supported this woman, Lina Dempsey, who'd killed her twins, Peggy and Carl. They were born out of wedlock. I was put there by JFK and the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, my own uncle, George the illegal six, and Elizabeth has always known this. And she stood by and condoned it. And I watched this going on. It is unreal how people react to it. It doesn't seem to care that they stole it. I mean, what's the use of even having a lineage if you're just going to let somebody walk in and lie and take it over and everybody love them? biggest crooks, fraud, crime ever committed, really. Now then, let me see if I can get back to that because I'm going to put this here. I don't want to put it over my father, except this is my Aunt Georgia O'Keeffe, the artist, sister to my mom. And this is this lousy, two-bit, no-good American criminal that Vanity Fair, and by the way, all these oop-de-doo magazines are putting all this up about well, I got a blank on his name right now. It's made me some friggin' mad that people can continue with such a lie. Charles, well, and Camilla, and then you got William and Kate, and little George, and another one. They're going to secure their illegal claim to the monarchy. It's not even a claim, they just took it over. And then you have Harry. I was trying to say Harry, and now then his wedding. They really know how to play a game, don't they? And I can't do that. I would like it. I seriously would if God would come in and take care of it all and say, hey, I don't buy your crap. Anyway, this is the double. That was not my dad that married Wallace Simpson. You never saw my mom's picture on any magazines. They were too busy. This global government that was being put in place, putting Wallace Simpson on First Woman. It was on Life or Post, I can't remember. And all the magazines catered to her. And my mom is over here pushed and my dad out because they were the good people. He wouldn't go along with the orders, taking orders from the Freemason Illuminati Mafia. Rockefellers, Rothschild, Bilderbergers, Kennedys, JFK, the whole Kennedy clan. And you talk about character assassination. My father did none of this crap. This double did, and everybody knew it, into marrying her. And my dad married a beautiful lady. I was born when I believe I'm correct. My mom was 40 and my dad was 45. And legal heir to the British Crown because of the addendum. And it was legal to the forced abdication. And well, anyway, I wanted to put this in here. If you think I'm babbling, I've been through hell and so have my children. And I assure you, if some of what was done to my children, the truth, and to me were to be shown to the world, it wouldn't, I don't think everybody would condone it. In fact, I know they wouldn't if they had any heart at all, which Elizabeth and that family is void of. I wanted to go back to this because before I found out my name in late 83, I was in a campaign to replace one of the doctors I had written about. Had a letter from the FBI, June the 23rd of 79. April Fool Day of 80, I had my apartment, everything stolen, and I was almost killed. And I found out that after I came here to Roanoke, and by the way, I want to mention I worked for the District Attorney Fred Simpson in 1980, and later John Lennon was shot by Martin David Chapman. I was writing about programming, and I hadn't found out about my real identity and everything. God help me had I known then with what they were doing to me, the Jewish doctor Hyman Miller in Huntsville, and then you had Victor Gonzalez in Atlanta, and then handing me over in the trolley tracks, the clinic there. This is during the Watergate hearings, and this is on the Watergate tape where Henry Kissinger, who was Secretary of Defense under Nixon, and he had 2 or 3 posts, I think. He was on the other line. That's why they deleted it, the 18-minute gap, they say, because it was subpoenaed. And what they're hiding is they had made, Victor Gonzalez had drugged me and took me there to this clinic in College Park where all the trolley tracks cross. And there's about 6 people with masks on, doctors, waiting to do what? They were going to lobotomize me. If my family didn't cross the palms of Henry Kissinger and the global government, which is part of my family. The Netherlands, I'd like to believe my family there were good, Beatrix, etc. They've got the war crime tribunal there. Do you think they're going to try themselves for war crimes? All this stuff is in the Netherlands, and she's very wealthy. So you see where I stand. I want to go back real quick before this is over. I walked to the City Grill, is where I worked, from, I believe it was late October, which would have been 55, I'm not sure, 55, 56, yeah, I think. And I took care of this woman who was a psychopath, and she was diagnosed as a psychopath by a doctor. She killed her twins. I made her a living. And I came home, I would walk home at night at 11:30 when I got off work 7 days a week. So I left at about in time to get to school and walked to school. Then I walked to the City Grill. So I don't know how many miles that was. I worked till 11:30. I cleaned up and I left, and it was dark. And I was scared to death because it was a bit of a ways back to the they were HUD low rent housing. I was paying the rent, I was buying the food, and this woman was killing me, and Philip was there. And there's a question, I'm not going to say anything else about Philip because he was put there in 1944 after they put me there in 41 or 45, he was put there. And I never believed that he was any part of that Dempsey family. He was like me. And I loved him very much, and I still do. I didn't want him to hurt the way that I had been hurt and was hurting. And I took care of him, and I'm not trying to say anything special other than I did. And that woman, she bombarded me. She did everything vile in the book to me. And you're going to stand there, people of this country here, of the British, of the rest of the world, and let this woman, Elizabeth, who needs to be put in with Lina Dempsey and Wallace Simpson. They are so evil. And all these nice magazines that want to put them on their front page using their pictures they're wearing my clothes I paid for while I'm in rags. Vanity Fair, I wouldn't want to be on your magazine. Thank you kindly if you should ever think to ask. Because you're part of the lie and cover up, and you're no better than they are. In any magazine, in any television, oh boy, well they don't dare mention me. What would it look like if it was totally put before the public, which they already know? I mean, everybody believes my videos. They don't doubt it. The real truth. It is so ugly. Ugly. And you handcuff this woman and Philip Mountbatten and the rest of that brood and haul them off to the gallows.